Hello. Welcome. Hello everyone. Welcome on in. So, been goofing along and now it is time to dev some games. Now, first of all, I'm gonna down the volume on this a little bit. There we go. There we go, I see the OBS, everything is working A-OK. Open up our documentation systems and go first here, and then I switch. Yay, it works. I'm always mildly excited. I like mildly surprised when my setups work. I guess slowly but surely we're learning things. Now, let's look at what we got last time. Done. We got the damage handling done. Damage numbers get visuals is working. Now, the targets do not have any resistances, so we'll have to add that as something we want to experiment with. Oh, the title being all explosive. I think it's time we get the AoE to work. And some chained runes. Goals for the 26th. Oh, recursive 26. So, one is simply test resistances. Question of add. We're going to use the word flags. Add flags to elemental power. Question mark. That should be self-explanatory enough, at least for me. Now, then is make a area of effect runes freaking work. Rune types could change collision shape? Question mark. You might want that. Oh, we got one with that game, Stockholm. God morgon. Hoppas du har det bra. I'm assuming with the whole Stockholm bit, you speak Swedish. Vad var man säger då? Indeed. Merry coffee times. And then we want to look at if we have to, after all of this, because again, it feels like it's, just a couple of things. How long could it take? I've learned that lesson. It can take forever. And so we have would be nice to get to work would be chained effects. And by chained effects, what I mean is I want a bolt to be explosive, which means when it hits something, it won't deliver the attack. What it will do is activate a rune, effectively. The actual attack. So, there we go. There's a button here on the side. Every now and then it just slowly turns in my hand, and then my thumb presses the button, and then suddenly instead of drawing, I'm moving the paper around. So, chain effects, which means I know what I was writing. So we do attack delivered via bolt Ah, fuck it. There you go. Both triggers AoE. Commuting home from a 12-hour night shift. Kinda tired. Holy shit. Yeah, I can imagine. That would leave one a little bit tired. Very true. Well, I hope you get well paid. I hope the night shift went well. And I hope you get some good rest after that one. I hope it's not a 3 shift system where, because I've had those. Where, one shift ends and then 8 hours later, the next shift begins. Good thing is I could sleep at my work because I have to work at a hotel, but then it was somehow a bit depressing when you could go home for a few days because you just had to work, sleep at work, and then work. And my longest shift there was I pulled a 20-hour shift because I ended up pulling a double shift, which would be 16 hours. Which was I had an evening shift, and then I had to do a night shift because there was some issue with that, and then the morning shift overslept, so they didn't come to relieve me until 4 hours later. That one was a little bit rough. I'm paid in Danish money, so I'm not complaining. Well, screw the Danes. No. Yeah. I hope you get paid well then. Attack deliveries via bolts, explosive bolts. There you go. Okay, so we have these. These are the concepts we're working with. I don't think we need to draw any extra. Get the first 2 points done. Then we can look into the third one. Oh, yeah, those shifts are tough. Yeah. Yeah, the 3-shift system is just bullshit. It's not a way to live. Having to deal with those. Now we'll switch over here. Now, first things first, we want to check resistances. So what we're gonna do is look at our enemy. God dang it, the hot diggity dog. It's Raggy. Welcome on in, Raiders. Ragaspin, rolling on in. Ragaspin, indeed. Egg, slide further inside. Oh, you back. And hey there, Casual. Hope you're doing well. Hello there, Raggy, of course, yourself. Hello there, Blocky, the curator. And the games are saying, luckily, I'm only working nights. That helps a lot. That does help a lot. Yeah, the worst part of the three shift system is because your day rhythm can easily just keep on breaking. How's the game, Devin? Well, we just had a little look-see at today's goals, which was here. Which is first test the resistance system for that we technically made yesterday, but never really tried it. Then considering the question, should we add flags to elemental power resources for them to know what they're supposed to be used for? And that's maybe. Then we need to make AoE runes work, so we're going to make explosions happen, pretty much. And then if we get those to work, then can we make them work together with pre-existing attacks, which was like the bolt, where instead of delivering an attack of damage to the enemy, it delivers an actual AoE, so an explosive attack inside it, so which gets triggered on impact. And then that one delivers the actual damage to the enemy. We'll see how that works. So first of all, test resistance. And let's hope it works. So the enemy has all this physics that we just commented out, so no physics for you. Get resistances, just returns resistances, which is just a brand new thingy here. So we can add a new variable under not a variable, sorry, a function. Pretty nice pre-made ready. First make it pass so I can read chat. The coding, indeed, Blocky. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you had a fun time with Rag. It is always a pleasure because for me it is Mondays. To start my Mondays, drink some coffee, and enjoy the wonders of Rag TV. Always lovely. Good shows. That's good taste. RGTV, it's true. Best channel out there. Now we're ready. Let's look at resistances. And what we're going to do with resistances, we're going to check. God damn it, still haven't gone by that new keyboard. Good taste, just like the coffee. Heckin' lovely. Ooh, 30 stream streak. Nice. Look at me. Hey, look at you go. Kim Stockholm. Thank you very much. I'm glad you like it here. So we're gonna just add one element into our resistance so we can just see how it works. So if we just... Do we have a way to just add a thing? I really should add one of those, but we don't. So what we're gonna do... We do elemental tick, then we do add power where we... No, we didn't add power tick. There we go. And here. And then congratulations, you get a copy of the variable for there for testing. And under ready, resistances dot add power dictionary underscore elemental power. There we go. Now these will need to be values between 0 and 1. Okay, now go rest for tomorrow. Have a good stream. Well, thank you for coming by and saying hi, I'm Blocky, and I hope you get some good rest. Sleep well, friend. Now, we're going to, for example, for fire, so let's give it 0.5. Now, then we try to attack our grand and dastardly horrifying enemy, the red square, with our dude. Because now I click the button, nothing happens. Not even the cooldown timer moves. Perfect. We activate a bolt. Rune. Nothing happens because, just one of those won't do anything. Then a power source. Which, well, yes, will not make a functional attack because it has an equal amount of all elements rather than having a dominant element which is required for the bolt. Then we click on the air and there we go. Now we can do attacks. Then we attack the square. And it hits. And there's a number. It says 10. Now, we should have resistance to fire now, so if we do this, it should now say 5. So, that was easy. Goddamn, we did it, chat. We fixed it. Game's done. The red square. Not to be confused with the place in Moscow. Oh, the red scare in the USA. Nice. I just like it. So, okay, because I just realized because I put the system in yesterday, and then I realized I forgot to test actually having resistance. So, damage handling works as intended. Currently, it needs some more fine-tuning, adding like maximum minimum values. That's why I was thinking of adding flags, because I'm using the elemental power resource thing currently to hold anything that has one of these dictionaries. So I'm kind of considering putting, because sometimes I just want the dictionary of just the elements, but I might not need these. But maybe it'll be easier. All elemental resources will be these. These objects just need some more getters and setters and so on, but we'll figure what all we need as the game progresses. Because I wanted these all elements to be defined in one single place, essentially, so we can edit this one document and the entire game will still work. So everything is just assuming there's an X amount of elements and dealing with stuff accordingly. Because we're doing the classic Western 4: fire, air, earth, water. Then hopefully later we'll add more. I want to add more complexity to it because I think those are interesting, but I was thinking it would be fun to have like multiple levels of deeper understanding of magic. So yeah, you can have like your basic fire and I don't know, water, different kinds of elements. But then, later on, but what about like ice elements or so on? And then later on you realize, but these are actually just two facets of the same one, which is the magic of entropy and so on. The brain glitch simulator, numerical mathematical manipulator. Hey there, Lord Noctem. Hope you're doing well. It is. It's not even a brain glitch simulator for me. This is real life. This is how it works. When it works. If it works. Fun fact, Minecraft poison is actually fire. Bum bum bum. Oh yeah, I think I've heard about that one. Yeah, they had like trouble figuring out how to do a poison system. Then they realized, well, we already had to have a system for you catching fire, so we do that and we just rename it. Because that's the thing. Does it work? Yes or no? If it does, fantastic. Just add a flag to it. The fire, but actually poison. Secretly fire, but we don't talk about that one. Alright, so this system works. The resistance works. So next was trying to figure out AoE attacks. Now the thing is, do we have a rune for those? No, it's not even a rune that we need to figure out, but an actual resource. Because now we have the projection for beam and bolts using the same projection class. Now the thing is, the beam does have a bit of a problem. in the sense that, because I'm just using this one animation. See, we do like air again, power, bolt. Okay, but also because beam doesn't have any color changes. See, the other ones have, depending on the element, we have different colors, but they're just because I happen to have pre-made animations of these. But yeah, it's firebolt, but if we do a beam instead, you know what it is? It's the same animation, just the other way around and faster and stretched out. Now it's a fiery beam. Boom. Of magic. And of course, you know, they don't move with us really. And say similar to the other one, when they impact an enemy, they immediately like get unmade. So we're gonna have to figure out some changes there. So I'm thinking we're gonna want to change how the beam works with making it do like less damage, but somehow have some kind of damage over time system. But that's a then problem, not a today problem. Today problem is how do we use the same sort of base class logic to make an AoE effect, because essentially I want these to be effects, you know, beams, bolts, area of effect things, so that we can then do things like maybe you have similar to Vampire Survivors. You have your sort of like harm damage circle where you do like passive damage, anything that is within that circle. That kind of effects, maybe a shield somehow that the attacks it reacts not to enemies but to other attacks, and tries to like attack the attack itself somehow. Or an explosion, which is technically also an AoE effect. So today we're going to try to make the explosion part happen while considering the future of it all. Because the class itself should not need that much tweaking to allow it to become one of those. So what we'll do is go to resources, we right click, we do create new resource, and we do the projection class that we made, and we shall call you test underscore projection underscore, and I'm going to we'll call you the AoE. Save. So now it exists. It's a damage multiplier, attack speed, attack type, AoE. Let me define its size. Because so far, size is just a multiplier we're adding to, because we have this one singular attack scene, and we're just stretching, you know, in an X or Y direction, affecting its size. First it was simply a float, single number. And just because you name the function fire tick damage doesn't mean that's what it has to do. Exactly, yeah. Technically, it's just tick damage, which is sort of essentially what we need to do for the beam or anything. Just have a system in game for that. Because currently damage is handled on impact with enemy, which would be then bad, of course, for the AoE as well, because we don't want the first enemy detected by the explosion to be the only one taking damage, but everyone within its AoE should react to it, and we could even have it detect like distance from origin point. Well, it'll need to anyway, because it needs to figure out where the enemy is, where the explosion is, so that we can do stuff like pushback going in the correct direction. And I think we have that already. We took that into consideration when we did the input for the damage handler, because it gets the entire attack node and the entire like target node. So from that it can calculate what all needs to happen and get their locations. Well, the bolt isn't that big. So, and we don't really have a good visual for this. Because so far we've been using here animated sprites. And I have some pre-made sprites, and I keep on like loading in these sprite maps. The magic beam is the same, pretty much similar to the air bolt, but the orientation is different. Well, I mean, it's not here, but it will be in the code. See, it goes from 90 to minus 90. And now it's in beam mode. Now it's in bolt mode, because in its own reference frame, they're always traveling to the right. then we do the sort of like local transform in the scene itself, changes which way this scene exists in that scene, and so that way to the right will always go forward. But how do we visualize an explosion? Right. Small, right? Get bigger, yeah. And what the easiest way to do burst particles? So do you have the image expand? Yeah, load it. And that's what image expanding is what I'm sort of like doing out here. And yeah, burst particles, that kind of stuff. We're gonna do like proper visuals later. Right now, I just want to mechanically be able to just see what's happening. I was considering just doing like two colored rectangles, slap them on top of each other, so a bit of a star symbol, you know. First, I'm looking at, do I have the kind of animations we can like smoosh together and we call that an explosion? We could. We can do here new animation. Look at the sprite sheet, and then we look into assets, pixel fire assets, and I'm not doing much with the yellow currently. So let's look at these groups. Like this one is nice and chunky already. Then we lower there's only one vertical, and there's 8 of these. Add the 8 frames. There you go. Looks a little silly. Let's press play. Yeah, the problem is you're not actually centered on 0, are you? Or you weren't. There you go, see? That's close enough. And then we'll just rename this one into... Magic Explosion. There you go. Heckin' perfect. We save, and now we have a visual that is clearly different from everything else. Of course, we're gonna have to look in the code here. And I do believe it is... Animation orientation 2D, animated sprite 2D, rotation is gonna use this one. And ready, you sign it here. And under an elif, there's an AOE, we do sets underscore AOE underscore create a new function for sets underscore AOE underscore animation. No inputs, no outputs. Animation orientation takes the value of 0. Animation name takes the value of magic explosion. There we go. So that's done now. So then it detects if it is an AoE attack and then does the thing. Now for us to then be able to see what exactly is happening, we jump also into, currently we're just hard coding this shit into player manager, I believe. What we do then, there we go. There, and now it is added into our projecting rune list. And if we nope. I shall call ye AoE. Your attack size will be a 3x3. Attack speed should be 0. Attack multiplier should remain at 1. We save. And we'll see what happens. And essentially, it should create the attack on there. So we do. Doesn't matter the elements. We've got the power. So you've got the bolt. We've got the beam. Oh yeah, so it just creates one there. Boom. And delivers the damage normally. So it's similar to the beam. So I'm wondering now, is a beam secretly actually an AoE, but it's just a bit like stretched out? I think we can do more funny things with the, if we keep the beam separate properly, because then we can have their own more clear logics for like animation. Because we can make beam animation more procedural. Like bolts would have an actual sprite animation, and then the beam could have, something making effects, laser effects, that kind of shit. An AoE could be then internally determining, is this like a shield, like a passive effect, or an explosive effect. An explosive, we could then, as was suggested, we can add in, particles, all kinds of neat shit for animating it. But that whole shit went a lot faster than I was expecting. It turns out, planning ahead works. I was getting ready like, it's gonna be a day of like struggles to figure out what went wrong, how do we fix it, how do we get an AoE effect to like happen as it should, and no, it was already there. Everything works out. I'm really happy we're getting to this point. I'm starting to think like I need to make actual enemies now and make a UI that makes sense, so we can keep testing it in a way that is a bit more exciting for all of us. Plus, I enjoy trying to figure out animating. So for now, that would either mean making like freaking art streams or using pre-made assets, which might be for the better. I'm having some silly ideas, but maybe they'd be better for enemies. I've been having this idea of trying to do the AI rotoscoping, because I think that's that's a good example of how to use AI tools in art. Automate rotoscoping. I keep on forgetting his name, absolutely blanked out. But rather famous YouTuber, does really fun animations doing rotoscoping, and very open about he uses an AI tool for it. And if I remember correctly, there should be at least a reversion of it. And I was thinking that could be a fun thing to try. Make silly videos and then rotoscope animations on top of myself, and then we can cut that into smaller amounts of frames, and we could probably then do some silly in-game animation enemies. And that could be fun. And the main characters will most likely be in the beginning, wizard. Then we've talked about this, we realized no, we're making magical mechs sent into some distant planes.
What are you doing, man? We gotta kick a beat a while.
But all of that will be arts. Yeah. Alright. So now we can look at our to-do list. Test resistance is done. Add flags to elemental power. Still don't know if I should do this. Is it in any way necessary? Especially resistance, it won't need it, because I'm thinking it would be interesting if resistances can in fact go above 1. So, you know, then certain elemental attacks can heal. But I do want them to be between 0 and 1 for the filtration systems. But then again, the filter itself should know what the fuck it's doing. The elemental power resource shouldn't care. It's not its business to care about its, you know, range. Now, runes work. Rune types could change colors and shape. Yeah. That's something we could look into. Or now we're gonna look into this one. This will be more interesting to see. Like chained effects. Can attacks be delivered in multiple steps? So the AoE works just like that. Heckin' perfect. Now, how do we make an explosive bolt? Well, the bolt would then be launched as normal, but instead of this happening on body entered, you know, if body is in group enemy, we print here enemy hit. When they're taking damage, we have to do damage. Ouch, you know, silly things. But then damage manager handle damage self and body. So it gets all the information of the attack itself, and then it gets the target, whoever got hit. So the attack doesn't care. Sends that information. You deal with manager. Or handle damage. So I'm here wondering, so what do we have here? For damage we have you have attack type. Huh. You know, because the damage manager deals with all of that, I don't think we need to keep this in here. So, because if we do at launch attack manager, we do it, look at our so attack transform to the attack details from attack base. And here we just assign attack details into the attack from this one. But what if we just give the entire attack base to in its entirety to attack? Because we assign attack details, attack base. Yeah. We're just copying the information from like one existing like structure, the attack base, its own class, into this one, only to be carried to the enemy. There's no point in moving them around. So we're giving the entire class object here to this guy anyway. Hot diggity dog. So we do variable attack base. And in this, we don't need that one at all anymore. And instead, etiquette details, animation name. You know what? Let's call you. It'll save me a small amount of time. And we have and the attack transform and the attack details are pretty much all we'll need. So if I just comment all of that out, so we get a whole bunch of issues. No. Or do I? There we go. There we go. Now ATK type comes from there. Animation, orientation, self-transform, attack, transform, scale, local size. Why are you angry? Ah. That's why you're angry. How about you? Beam, translate. We don't need you. We have figured that one out. For testing, self-transform, size. Copy into there. And this is also hashtag to do. This is done. Make better when it's time to animate properly. Yeah, because that's why I do like really simplistic, just janky ass animation, something that kind of works, because it is not the point at this point in the development cycle. Right now we want the underlying machinery to actually work, to make that as modular as possible, because animation will be, well, making it look pretty. And I approach the project sort of engine first. It's like I was thinking about it like if we be building a house. Now the Godot, the engine is the foundation. And because I'm more of an engineer type kind of dude, so I'm trying to build the plumbing first. Whereas someone might be building like, let's make the walls all nice and stuff, and we'll worry about the plumbing later. Both work. If you come from more of an artist background, then it'll help you then, because you're used to working through art. So maybe doing the art first makes sense to you, because then also while working on that, then you realize, oh, we need that, we need this, and so on and so forth. So there's no right or wrong way in which order to build a game. It depends on how you're used to working and so on. Now, for me, I'd just get lost in the art for too long and then realize I can't even use this because I don't have the right numbers in the machine. So I go engine first, like self-made in-game logic first, and then we'll try to figure out, how do I make this look pretty? How do I make the animations make sense? What kind of numbers would I need? Like, I know I can't just store current health for a character for the animation to make sense. I would need also sort of current health, and then say previous health or animation health. Because, for example, to have a health bar in many games where you take damage, and first you see like a darker area like show up, and then it slowly goes down, rather than it like teleporting. Like, you had 10 health, now you have 7. Instead, it first jump to 7, and then like this bar follows. So you need to be able to save what was the old information. And depending on how you build your game, you don't always want to be adding new variables in every single bits and pieces of the logic. Like, you don't want the animation to keep on adding new variables so they can keep track of it, so they can animate things moving. It's better to have it built in the engine already, to just have health information in 2 numbers, sort of like current and target, for example, or current and previous, or current and animation and so on. So the animation can always be striving to get to where the current one is, and then you have things moving a bit more smoothly. That kind of stuff. Just think of the right way to do it the first time without foresight. Easy. Absolutely casual. That's the one. Just do it right. Easy. How do you not mess up? Well, that's easy. Just don't fuck up. Easy as pie. Now, attack details. No. Declared in current scope. Fixed. Choose animation. New animation string. Animation equals new animation. That's an old piece of script we no longer use. Set new transform. Then it's an underscore. Set new speed. Also not happening through there. Assign attack details. We do attack details calls on itself set animation. Because we don't really, might not care about the animation depending on where we're using an attack base for doing some internal mathematics. But only when we give an attack detail, an actual attack object, the attack details. So then we do underscore attack details takes the value of attack details. We'll even reframe that just to be slightly more obvious. We do that to new attack details. And you guess well, new attack details. And we change the order there. So then our internal attack details gets the reference to the current attack base. And then we call set animation so that, because this is done before the actual object enters the scene. When the object enters the scene, that is when ready is called. And here is when we declare, which animations to use and so on. Because we can't do that because before it enters the scene, the animation node doesn't exist. So trying to set the animation on a node that is a null value will just give you an error. So now we can just hopefully comment all of that out. Hey there, puppy. Hope you're doing well. Good morning to your friend. And we'll see how much shit did I break. Hopefully nothing. So nothing yet. Nothing yet. Ooh, what the hell? It actually works. First try. Easy. Lol. Didn't even have to try. Boom, 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 boom. I like the fact that all the visuals I got done on day one. And then after that, it's been freaking weeks of just math and trying to figure out how do I make this logic. There we got 10, but it has a fire resistance. So we put a fire. Oh no, it's only 5 damage. You got 0.5 fire resistance. Heckin' amazing. Fuck yeah. Easy. Bam. Not even 9 a.m. and eBay already gave me a headache. I mean, it's eBay. You have to deal with It'll always give you a headache. I mean, okay, eBay is not that bad. I think the worst part was there was a very short stint in time when I was thinking, you know what, this Facebook market page seems like a good idea. I'm going to buy stuff and resell it through there. And I made a little bit of money, but I also came to the realization, never again. I hate people so goddamn much. Jesus Christ. I've done customer service in various forms in my lifetime. But entrepreneurial selling of things, Jesus Christ, no. That's why I'm glad I have my goldsmithing background. So I realized, yeah, it makes sense if I'm selling luxury goods. Expensive to make, really, and you sell them and then you get a high markup. Selling stuff for a low markup, no. Not worth the hassle. Because if someone's buying something from you for the price of a few hundred or a few thousand euros, they'll turn up. We all know what's happening here. It's a transaction. Selling something for $20, people will haggle, they'll make deals, and they won't turn up, all kinds of bullshit. No. God damn. I might have just... Sorry about the vents. Got triggered there. Traumatic memories. Ooh. I found a buying order for my team. We want to do training in bug-free programming. Ooh. Bug-free program, yeah, it's easy, just don't. Have you tried that? Or you get a can of Raid and you spray it in the machine. There you go, no bugs. Kills in the house and the garden. because it works. But most importantly, I realized this is... Why am I doing this? Oh, right. Because we wanted to be able to do a little something funny. And that is to figure out how much can we divorce the attack sort of node from the attack information itself so that we can make it increasingly modular. Because the idea was to see, can I fit an entire like explosive attack inside a bolt? So the bolt never cares. It just delivers its payload. And then at impact is when we look at what happens. Do we simply do a damage, or is there further effects? I realize, yeah, see, I'm working here and I'm slowly but surely learning like actual lingo. I'm sending heckin' payloads and shit, man. It's always so funny when, you know, I read like professional code, or someone comes into my stream, looks at my code. I'm like, oh, you're doing this and this, and using all these terms. I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, the thing. Oh, right, yeah, my dingle dangle function. Right. Oh, it has an official name. Oh, I just called it, you know, swoop to swoop because it swoops, you know. Or you call it like, okay, like, you know, effect rotation, that kind of, okay, yeah. the joys and tribulations of being self-taught. Ooh, well, hello there, Kyoko. And thank you for that. I pre-ordered and paid a Lordwyn Eclipsed Collector booster box in November. Didn't get any information or a booster box until today. Usual practice is the shops get product a couple of days before pre-release, which was on the 16th. I wrote them in multiple emails asking for information to no avail. So now I had to do all the legalese nonsense, setting deadlines and threatening withdrawal from our contract. Oh, and on top of that, they become very rude in our emails. You gotta love it when people can't be professional. It's always baffled me. The willingness to go become, and the speed at which some people can become unprofessional in emails and like interaction. It's like, you do realize I'm not talking to you as a person. I'm talking to the business you represent. There's no beef between you and me, customer service agent. I know you just work there. You know, it's fine. Ooh, nice. You lose some, then you win some. 5-stream streak. Thank you very much, puppy. Appreciate it. Yeah, can't keep on like losing streaks every now and then, and it's annoying because I'm thinking like I was sure I was there every day. Turns out I wasn't, or I had too many tabs open, and Twitch was like, don't count. And I'm like, man. Or then, funnily enough, sometimes I just stream too long and I never had a chance to pop in and lurk because they started after me and ended before me. Okay, so now we have attack details and attack transform, which is okay to be separate things because they're coming. The transform is coming from whoever is making the attack. The attack details are coming from whatever is creating the attack, which would be for our current thing the magic circle, but which is being technically held by a global, whereas the transform comes from the node in the scene, so we know where we manifest the attack and in which direction it's going. So the attack base, can we hide an entire explosion in here is one of the questions here, because you have oh no, I'm not good at keeping streaks. Some days I just spend on the couch and avoid Twitch lol. Exactly, puppy. Same here, and you know, and we all should. It's okay to not be on the internet every fucking day. It's more like I try to like, you know, it's fun to like to maintain some streaks, be like with casual and so on, because he's usually on when I wake up. But sometimes I sleep late and I miss a casual stream, and then it's very tragic. But it's, you know, when they fit in some part of your daily schedule, it's a bit easier. Okay. I think we can. I think we can make multiple attacks. The problem is we're gonna have to make either we allow the attack base that we're looking at here currently to hold multiple types, both an AoE and a bolt, which means no, that's bad. I think it's better if an attack base can also contain an attack base, because then we can have nested attacks. And as long as if they can be nested, we can allow the player to create stupid shit, and which is what I want. I don't want to determine what is and isn't allowed as much as like oh, you can't go do this kind of stuff. I want the engine to be, well, it has its own logical rules, but enable the player to make stupid shit that doesn't work and really fun stupid shit that really does work, like a massively chained bolt that keeps on like bolt, then launches another bolt, launches another bolt, launches another bolt, like Noita, that kind of stuff. So if we allow an attack base to be nested, that means that we could theoretically have an infinite amount of nesting. We'll have to then figure out when we get to balancing and so on, like how much can they nest, but I would like there to be theoretically just infinite. They can only nest one thing, but that thing itself can also nest a thing, which can then also nest a thing, and then we have recursion. Silly shit. And that's what I like. Okay. We still haven't even figured out any like effects, but that will be at a later point in time. Damage handler, we'll have to deal with that. But how we do the nesting? Should it just be a variable? I mean, technically, I guess we could just have here, var and nested attack. We could have a check where we could have is underscore container as a boolean, which should actually default to false. So because we don't want to always declare this is a container, not a container. It's more like it's not a container unless we specify we actually did put something in here. So it defaults into a false state. Because I'm starting to realize, that having like defaulted values is becoming increasingly a problem because of how logic flows. I'm just used to building so many like small things. So, what if then we, here like, well, if is container, then contain attack base, pretty much. Could it contain other things? Maybe. Like we could have a bolt, and then when it reaches its target, it like summons a spirit, ghost, goblin, whatever. Because of course we're gonna have to figure out some kind of weird summoning magic. Summon cat girls, like, oh, and they're running around there, causing mayhem. Like I said, there will be absolutely will be an element of silly nonsense in the game. Because, the core is supposed to be like serious cool, but there will be, yes, silly nonsense. It has to be. Can't take shit too seriously. Not too much though. Most of them would be hidden. A bit like Noita and the duck launcher, it's cutesy silly, but like fancy logical horror all the way, and then you have the freaking duck launcher and they did the deer koi, amazing stuff. Then if we have but this is a good base, I think, because then if we have, say, bolt leads to bolt, then we'll have to have some sort of logic. What is the direction of the next bolt? Is it like the inverse of how we hit, like we get a recoil effect? Is it towards a closer enemy? That'll have to do with homing effects, and those would then have to be, that's something we'll add into the attack base itself. So then we can make changes in this one, and then it'll then radiate out from this one, and from smaller changes we can then have radiating out into more complexity. Yes. Okay. So, if you had an attack base, and if it is container, what should be done? Well, that means we need to look at the projection class here. So, how do we not only put in the information? And yes, this is not, optimized. It's doing very basic shit and copying things that maybe doesn't need to be copied and so on. But guess what? That's fine. We can make that shit work. Like all this, you're doing, we're breaking the rules of DNR quite a lot in this project so far. But that's okay, because like I want to iterate not to you and to myself. It's okay, because it's better to have it repeat yourself and be extra clear, because I will easily forget what the fuck I did when I built this, and it is when we get to the point of optimizing and so on, then we'll clean it up. Also, if you do it this way, and we realize that we need to change the logic, it's easier rather than optimize everything happens like in one single function or like only a couple of lines. Well, then you have to disentangle all of that to make small changes. The entanglement of optimization has its time and place. Okay. Still trying to figure out like how would I do this. So we could do a because I can see myself pre-making an explosive bolt rune. But how would a player make that? Then we'll have to add into the projection class itself also. So currently we can do an export. So I, as the designer, can do out of art. We have attack speed, type, and size. Then we'll need a container for an attack base, pretty much. Which means we need to then build it in the editor somehow. Or save an attack base as a resource. Yeah, because in Godot, because we added the export variable there, which means that if we look at, say, the projection bolts, you know what, we now have this in container here, because adding the @export means that this variable is not only in code, but also can be accessed inside the editor here. And these are resource files, which technically exist kind of only as code, but we can then also edit things here, and they will remain as individual objects. So this way you can have like your base, say, item class, and then you want your potions and whatnot. And they're all based on the same potion subclass, and then you have 58 potions, and they're all individual resources like this with their individual sprites and everything detailed like that, but they all run on the same code logic or whatever you have, your items and so on. So the resource system is handy because it can go anything from inventory items to logical containers and runes. So that's how we can turn say a class item into a sort of object thing. There are probably actual proper terms for all of this, and of course because it is using its own internal resource file format, it is optimized for Godot, so it is super memory efficient. They even have in their documentation at least that this is a better way than using JSON because of, the whole optimization of logic and so on. I guess you could have a JSON file, and then when you save the game, you export it properly, you'll have another piece of logic code that reads through your JSON and builds actual resource files. Yeah. But how would I do this then? Okay, so we have the elemental power here. What the activate rune and the projection thing does is it creates an attack base based on what was put inside the rune, inside the spell state previously by the power source and the filter, and then whatever's in there is here put into an attack. But if container, we'll actually, we'll need an export variable is _score container, and this can be a bool, which means we save that, and now it's handy because we just have a clickety clackety there. Yes, no, yes. Now this container would probably make sense because that way we can leave that as a bool. Same code for all the projections. We'll probably end up making more subclasses eventually, but for now, the same core remains the same. We can then have now, if it is container, then what is it expecting? So that way we can have a container bolt rule, right? Well, hello there, Buffalopagus. Hope you're doing well. Nice seeing you. Hey, I love Depot's wavy emotes. Depot is a wonderful streamer, cool dude, and a great artist, gotta say. Love his work. But okay, so now we can have then separate the container projections.
07.
Hey there, Discounts. Nice seeing you around. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, now we're trying to figure out, so if you have rune projections, currently we have these runes for shooting bolts. They work. We have AoE, which it technically works. Because right now, everything is in testing phase. Nothing really works out. Nothing looks very interesting. It's cool to me because I know what's happening behind the background here. And now, in order to use the in-game logic flow, which is what I want to use, because I don't want to hard code things too much. Like if we have a magical bolt, we shoot it at, there's ads. Oh, we'll just go and he's a subscriber. So yeah, we got ads. No, we shoot a bolt, and we can just load it into the game really. It should still work. I hopefully haven't broken anything in my testing here. See, now we've also saved, so no AoEs, nothing's happening while we're doing the things. So we shoot the bolt, it hits the enemy takes damage. We even have damage numbers popping up now. The enemy can have now functionally a resistance, so fired and don't have, right? Now I want, because then we have the beam, because we're just reusing the same animation assets. See, this one just does the same as the other ones, but just flips it around and stretches it, and it doesn't move anywhere. The problem is, of course, when it hits an enemy, just like a bolt, it deletes itself, so the beam logic needs work. Now, today we made an AoE system here as well. So what it does is we just found another little animation, and it makes it big, it keeps it in place, and here as well, when it hits an enemy, it deletes itself. So AoEs and beams need a way to remain in play a little longer before they delete themselves. Now, the AoE is meant to be the base for building things like a general passive harm field or a shield, so that then depending on its type, we can then determine what is it looking for, because currently the only group we really have is enemy, but we could then make attacks be in their own group, and you could detect when an attack enters its field, then attack the attack, essentially effectively a shield. Now we also want the AoE to be an explosion, so what if we want to make an explosive bolt? Oh, sorry. So that we shoot the bolt, and instead of delivering the attack damage instantly to the enemy, it doesn't actually see, it functions more as a container or the AoE attack. That is the logic I'm thinking about here while getting lost and sidetracked. So we have a boolean here for the is container. So we know, like, when we create this rune, this is a container rune, which means it would need a minimum of a 4 either a 4-slot rune with a filtration or a pre-filtered power source. Now currently power sources give unfiltered, like equal everything magic, which means that when it goes through the filtration, the ultimate power value ends up being 0. And the question is, yeah, so we can make a power source that is already pre-filtered, meaning we can skip the filter rune completely, and the same logic should still work, except our current one looks at hard-coded placements, but we'll figure that out. But what if we then had, this shit. So we create the AoE attack, and then we somehow save that in a bolt. Right, well, the answer is there we go. The spell state already has the attack one. So yeah, so if we do a AoE attack here, do this logic. So now that one is saved inside attack. And then the next rune would be a bolt, which is flagged as is container, which means it doesn't do any of this. It only looks at, is there a value inside attack? If yes, add that into its own container. Yeah, and it has its own speed and type. Yeah, okay, perfect, yes. Because we determine the speed here on the right, under attack speed. Yeah, the filtration system can add speed modifiers, but they will not be affecting this one. At least at this point. Well, then, if there is a modifier, it would be then saved at this point inside this attack. So then we could have it grab that shit, okay? Okay, so how do we do this then? Okay, so we do activate rune, new attack, elemental power, attack dictionary, power dictionary, waste dictionary. Yeah, all of that there's so much duplication that we don't really give a shit. But what we can do here is if is container, and yes, I know this is enough, but I'm still going to do this, equals true. I like it this way. You can even do a return here, even though there's nothing to return, but it'll just stop. So this way I don't need to add an else. It'll be more like if we enter, if this is container is true, then none of this happens. So what do we do? If is container, then we know that the spell state in the dictionary we just got is should be real. So essentially what we would do, I think, is I don't like the calling just container. It just makes me call the attack container. So I think we can just do attack container takes the value of wait. No, it doesn't. We don't need this at all. Sweet baby Jesus, because I made them nestable, which means we do a variable here for new attack. We realize we can't do that shit, so we add an underscore of type attack base, again, because I like making everything strictly type. And this one will be then an attack base new. With an empty elemental power. That is a-okay, yeah. Because then we look at the new attack. And then we jump into attack base for a little while, because here we have the contained attack. So now we change its is container to be true. And contain attack gets a copy of the original. Right? The new attack exists. It gets that one. No, my bad. Then new attack dot is container has the value of true, and new attack dot contain attack takes the value of the attack that already exists. Then we can have a look at new attack dot. We don't care about the damage multiplier because this one will not be doing any damage, but it should have a oh, it doesn't. Okay, we'll land that then at a later point in time. Don't worry about it. Because I was thinking the different runes could then, because we could have the power source gives like this raw damage, right? And then the runes themselves could be, better or worse, so they'll have an attack damage, eventual damage multiplier that is still again added upon the number of what is the final attack. And that way we can have, worse runes giving you like only 0.5% of the ultimate damage. Some of them giving you 1, some of them being somehow extra magical and giving you, above 1, and so on. So this way we'll have multiple things that can affect the final attack and its final damage and eventual effects, because we haven't really figured those out just yet, but we have a place for those. Now it's okay. Now I'm mildly annoyed, so we now have to look again at attack base, because we have a damage multiplier, the variable, we do a speed underscore multiplier is a float. Defaults to 1.0. So if we don't change it, everything works just as is. It'll be okay. That way, I can get this itch out of my brain. We do new attack dot speed multiplier taken from this guy dot speed underscore multiplier. Because if we have previous multipliers affecting the speed of the attack, I want it to also affect then the bolts. So new attack is container. New attack contain attack is the current attack. We copy the speed multiplier. And then new spell state dot attack has the value of new attack. And then we return and we do none of the others. We don't care. Ooh. Yeah, it looks about right. Now, to test this, we're going to have a look at the circle base, and it is currently... We do that. Add an extra rune container into the array. Then we'll look at the player manager, which is again, they're currently tragically hard coding freaking everything. And we double check here I didn't fuck around with this thing in a way that is a problem. No, I did not. Make a new resource. Add a projection rune. We shall test, not a testy. Test underscore projection container. Container 108 an hour. And we shave that in there. Now, because we're copying out the previous one, we could also then just grab the elemental details for eventual animation choices. So that one wouldn't be too much of an issue. And I'll add you there. And actually, we'll just do that, actually. Because we can I think, because of the nature of things here, we do is container, or the room projection container is what one is named that we can actually see there on the list, and the attack container right, we don't have any pre-made attack bases, which is neat that we could okay. Which of course then means we do var and fuck it. How do I put this in there in a way that'll be handy enough? Because this is the player manager has all these. These are then currently talked about with the other guy. Hey there, Striker. Not seeing you around. Are you a DayZ enjoyer? I never played, so can't really say. I do like me my zombie apocalypse games, but I never got around to the whole DayZ thing. Just seemed neat, but I never made it to my machines. Okay, so chest projection container. I guess we'll do a or container underscore list type array. I'll put it there instead of here. And we'll figure that out later, because in the meantime, I'm gonna hard code it in. Ugly, and you shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Instant failure. Because invalid access property and key speed multiplier and base type of resource attack base. Will it? That's what it gets. One more time. There's a new game coming out that is like Rust, DayZ, and Satisfactory in one that I'm keeping my eyes on. Ooh, so Rust, DayZ, is Satisfactory. So it's Satisfactory means Factorio because instead of biters, they're zombies. Is my vibe here. Seems like a fun idea. If I click, will it explode? No. Add filter, explosion? No. Power? No explosion yet. AOE. Interesting. Let's try if the problem is the runes or the logic. Container, filtration, power source, and AoE for production. Projection. So the AoE happens first. Then when that is given to the container, we have the filtration. We have the power source. So now if I F6 in, yeah, pre-filled, we click on the button, nothing's happening. Ooh, interesting. Why is nothing happening? Is it because, yeah, we have something checking here if we can attack. And that is not being the order mode directive. Sounds vaguely familiar. I think I might have heard that mentioned somewhere, but I'm going to write it down here. I'm going to check that one out. I don't want to do it now because I'm already easily distractible enough. And right now we need to focus and figure out why. I'm pretty sure I know. I have a feeling I might know why. But I'm not entirely certain, so I'll have to look here. Okay, for one, our UI element isn't behaving. Ready, populate list, update menu visuals, process pass, update circle visual, update attack stats. Add list. Yeah, so that all worked out. Now attack stats, attack base, player manager, runic circle, get attack. Okay. So it is one of our problems. Yeah, Black 101 just joined. Can you walk me through the bug? I can rubber duck. Oh yeah, so the problem was that when we click the attack button, nothing's happening. Sorry about that. And I think it's because usually so far I had it that when we choose the runes, then we try to update our attack. Now I hard-coded all the runes to start with, which means the reloading of the final attack here isn't happening, which would most likely, so let's see here, check circle, we do this, and here we do, yeah, final attack equals final spell state attack. So this one needs to go somewhere else, or we need to run check circle here, which it is in circle base. And so if we look at the menu, well, the menu shouldn't be doing that. Runic circle is owned here. We click on launch manager, attack manager, spawn attack, attack transform, runic circle, check circle. Right. Check circle is something we can attack because we can attack ball is currently false. Because it hasn't been marked as real. Alright. We'll just do that. And that should allow us to at least make the hard error or nothing. It's just a bug because I'm like still in the whole testing phase, so see, okay, so now it works. Yeah, because we need to launch that very first attack for the logic to run through and for the game to be convinced that the attack exists. And now we get to the actual problem here. So now we can look at the remote level. I like to see inside the attack container, so if we do that. Yeah, nothing's getting spawned, but we're getting the cooldown. The problem is most likely out the container bolt here. Now why here? So if we do the attack dictionary, power dictionary, waste dictionary, total, main element string, main elements, power dictionary elements, total, attack dic, main element, power dictionary, new attack set element, dictionary, attack dictionary, waste dictionary, main elements. New attack here has the attack dictionary is a elemental dictionary. Set attack parameters. We set speed, size, damage multiplier, and attack type. Ah, okay. Spell set attack, new attack. So this could be it. Because obviously there's something that's not being set because nothing's been getting spawned in. So if we then try again. So still nothing's being spawned in. We also should probably have a quick look-see at the actual container here. Oh, an attack speed of 0. We'll change that to 200. Attack multiplier 0, that's fine. And the attack size was there, okay. It might have been that even simpler than I thought. And here we see the 3 normal ones. Now that the fourth one there we can't see, so we'll have a circle base here. So 4 rune in rune containers, so it doesn't care about how many we got. Rune does not equal null. Rune activate, rune else, can attack equals false. Right. Final attack, spell state. Attack. Calculate cooldown. Now, by the time we get here, put a stop there. And we'll see what it actually looks like. So we do pop, there you go. Final attack, spell state. As let's see here. Our final attack is this thing. Animation name, firebolt, spam targets enemy, attack type 0, animation orientation 0. Effects, ray, size 0, speed 200 size. No, 0 is correct. Element, none. This container, yes, attack, contained attack is this one. Which, if we do like this, comment that shit out. So this one is supposed to be carried by a bolt. And then I was essentially hoping for a bug when it hit something. Is attack base a node? No, it is a resource. An internal sort of class we made for this one. No, the only node here is the attack that carries the animation information. Okay. Where's the room projection here? So, what if we then because it is new attack is container equals true. Yeah, so that is enough of information for the later logic to work. Spell set attack grabs the new attack. Now we do what did we call it now? Is it just call it damage? Set type. Oh. Do func copy underscore attack parameter. Takes in new attack, old attack. It doesn't need to output anything because this works through reference. I will do new attack. Wait, no, but we do set these here. You don't want to copy its type. Yeah, these are all export values. And we do set all of those. So yeah, no. That's not the problem. So if we copy even the damage to here, now we should add something to do with the whole waste and all that, but that's something we can figure out if we can get the thing to actually work. Alright, so that thing still works. Then we go to circle base here. Then we move that from 3 to 4. What the? Heck yeah. Okay, so now it works. The purple is the default non-elemental shit. Okay, so adding the damage information was what was needed for the attack generation to work. But now we can then look at attack manager, spawn attack. New attack, choose animation. Yep, doesn't happen here anymore. New attack, assign attack details, new attack, set new transform, attack transform, current map, get map container, add child, new attack. Okay. Now here's an interesting question. So now the attack transform would be that one itself. And then it gives, essentially starts to spawn a new attack. Where we go into attack. We don't probably need to print enemy hit anymore. We have other ways to do that. But what we can do now is now if underscore stack details dot is container equals true, then we call a copy of from this one here. On attack, but instead of attack transform, it would be self dot global transform, and instead of ruining circle check circle, we call ATK details dot contain attack, and then else we do that shit and we queue free. Save. If ATK details dot attack type equals AoE or I'm trying to make it like linger for a little bit before it queues free. Wait, was they just sleep? I can't remember. Or no, we'll just do a wait. Or tween create tween and we do tween dot tween property target is self followed by modulate color is 1.0 0.0 and 1.1 second dot finished. So wait for the modulation to turn it into a 0 alpha. Should be object but is string. That is very true. There we go. Fucking shit works. My god. Oh, he'll get too red debugger angry. Attack manager spawn attack can't change this state while flushing queries. Use call deferred or set deferred to change the monitoring state instead. This is attack manager current attack container add child new attack. Fine. We'll do call underscore deferred see if I can remember how the fuck to do this shit. Add underscore child and shit. What was the order? No. Oh. Variant call deferred method string name calls the method on the object during idle time always returns null, not the method results. call deferred rotate, vector 3, blah, blah, blah. Right, arguments or parameters can be passed as a comma separate list. This method represents by this callable is a deferred mode. Oh, hey, hello there, Mind Cozy. Nice seeing you. Very nice. I'm glad you like it. So we're getting AoE effects to pop into existence, and then we have this sort of slowed fade out before they properly delete themselves. We want a similar system essentially to happen now with beams, I'd say. So we can have there, we're checking if the type is AoE, they're going to and if it's beam. Maybe it might be better eventually to have a to check for the things that we do want to disappear immediately, otherwise things fade out. But that is again stuff that is more important when we get to actual animation parts and making things look pretty. We mostly need that just to have it be visually clear, what the heck's going on. All the method represented by this callable and deferred mode. And yeah, the problem there as well, because now I think if it hits multiple things, it'll try to do the same thing again. So we'll have to do like a trigger for it's already disappearing kind of thing, and separately have if something comes in there, starts taking damage. Wait, no. We'll have to have it with it spawned. You know what? Like I said, animation time questions. For now, that is mostly to just test, can this silliness function? Now I want to know, how do I call defer properly? Because there's apparently multiple ones. Are you selling? I can just add a call underscore deferred here. And we hashtag that shit out. We F8, we F6, and we see do you explode immediately. Try and get a return value of a method. That returns void. Like, oh shit. Current map, get attack container, and child new attack. Current map is given when the map comes into existence. So maybe the map shouldn't be giving it. But I do want that one as well. So how do I call deferred this one? Let's see if we can figure this one out. So call deferred, rotate, vector 3, and then that one. Get tree, process frame, connect, callable. Yeah, don't think we'll look into this kind of nonsense when we get there. Right now, I want the debugger to be less angry with me. So, physics process, launch attack, spawn attack, and then it's getting annoyed at the fact that, hey yo, this should be had done like between frames, not mid frames. This ain't an animation. So if we call add child, wait a minute, and then new attack, and this shit goes here. Is that how that works? Goes create map, get attack container, then use a call deferred call, and add child, and give it the input. Yeah. Keep on forgetting. It's call deferred. I've used it many times, but every time I keep on forgetting how does this actually work. Boom, shit works and debuggers not angry at me. Holy shit. Fucking amazing. Now if I clickety-clack on the beam here, will you spawn a beam there? I think that'll be funny. It did. Nice. And the good thing is, yeah, so now the container does no damage. It just reacts, hey, yo, I'm a container, so actually unleash whatever I'm containing instead. So that shit has worked. And here, or say entirely the same shit. You know what? There we go. That'll be easier because we only have the one thing that needs to disappear immediately, would be the bolt. Now, fiery things happen. And we shoot in the beams. Beam. Lovely. So, the container, in its rudimentary form, does work. Now, of course, I then broke the UI testing that I had built, because they were built for only 3 runes, and then for the container to function, we need a 4th one. Or we need to figure out how to make the UI actually editable, because currently the runes that we're putting in go into predetermined spots, and if we add more power sources that would be at pre-filtered mana rather than the unfiltered one, then we could skip over the whole filtration rune and then have a power source followed by 2 projection runes, and then we can have a delivered explosion. Okay. Variable new attack is declared below in the parent block. Ah, you're right. So we shall call you Base. New attack base. We save, we check did I break it by renaming those, so now they're more. You know, I can't really overemphasize how rewarding it is to see something like that actually work. It looks so unimpressive, but I am so happy I got that shit to work. Holy hot dog. Easy peasy, nice. Thank you. So today we got an AoE. We tested the resistances. That took a grand total of like a couple of minutes. We got the AoE runes to work. That did work. Rune types could change collision shape. That is a question for later, because that has to do with, again, animation and like deeper logic of how do they work. Now I'm just like trying to figure out, can we deliver the payloads of information in places? Attack delivered via bolt, and guess what? It is doable. So, one thing we could do, it's hard to convey to someone who doesn't code just how complex some of this stuff can be. Very rewarding when something seemingly simple, compiled without, oh, wrong button, compiled without errors. Yeah, exactly. But I still want to bask in my joy, like, oh, holy shit, it actually worked. My god. And, you know, for this one, we have on body entered, no 2D enemy take damage, right? Now, what we could do is kind of copy this shit from here, and we add it into... Oh yeah, here we're using the lifetimer timeouts, and we could use that one for the bolts. Right now, our lifetimer timeout is just a hard-coded 3 seconds. So, sorry about that. We could then add that one. Whoop. Here. Now the problem is this one. And if it equals bolts, we should do, you know, Q3 on impact. Here we go. Here we check what do we do. After we're done with this stuff, we check, are we a bolt? If we are bolt, Q3, because it deletes itself when it hits an enemy. But if we are not a bolt, well then we should be waiting for the timer. So when ready, we do some math, and then we check if stack details type does not equal bolt. Then we create the tween, we do the tween. So let's see, would this still work, or do we, because we could probably use the timer instead. Seems to still kind of work. Change that to a beam. Then we have a bolt containing a bolt. And we see a quick little flip. We saw there. You know, tiny little flick. Huh. Pretty neat. So that means that the physics process for the detection doesn't give a shit about the existence of the tween. And that's very nice. When I was working a lot in Unity, I spent so much time making ways to expose variables in the inspector. To me, it was very rewarding to have a custom inspector drawers that let me not hard-code values. Oh yeah. That is very nice. And I like that in Godot, you add in front of any variable, just like add export. Voila, it's in the inspector. See, that's why also I want everything in I want to like hard code as little as possible. You know, that's because this is just value. It's white, but with a 0 alpha, so it modulates over 1 second into being invisible, and then we do a Q3, so it stops existing. Now these are like animation details, which we'll have to then add more functions, add more logic for eventually, especially because the entire attack sort of node is just currently built to be in, you know, the most basic experimental attack carrier. We're gonna have to like spend a lot of time in trying to make this entire logic work a lot better, I suspect. Here's a test I want to do then, I guess. So if we look at the scene, see we have one enemy block there. Now we close these, we close that, close those. We have enemy, the scene. What if we have 2 enemies next to each other? Because beams should be able to hit multiple. So now we're carrying over a beam. So we hit just one. We see one damage number. Now if we shoot it from here, you see 2 damage numbers. Holy shit, it's still working. I was worried about the whole animation, yeah, not letting it affect everything. So then explosion to add 2 damage numbers. It is working as intended, which is fantastic. Because previously with the animation, because I've had a similar problem before when I had the like moment of impact to determine how the exit animation happens. But then if it impacted multiple enemies, that means the exit animation kept on like restarting, and it was a bit silly. To know about Godot, Unity did not do so well if your variable was an object with its own variables inside. Ooh. They may need a custom bit of code to let it modify those internal values. Tricky. I guess, yeah, that is because, yeah, it has like proper private values. There are no private values in Godot, in GDScript. I'm using the underline at first to more like imply that it should be private to make sure that I, avoid directly changing variables, but have functions to do those. Again, to make me doing some stuff. Don't mind me, I'm just learning how to code. Well, hello there, Alucard user 5637 on the YouTube side. Hey, no worries. Hope you have a good time, my friend. But yeah. Hacking, the logic works. I'm getting like flabbergasted about how like small yet the giant leaps we're making here. I'm wondering if I should like actually start adding like sensible enemies here. I need to have a proper like sit down and consider what I'm actually like next steps here, because I don't want to start designing multiple runes just yet, because that is going to be its own entire mega long process of what kind of rune do we have. But so far it looks like the base classes I have for projection, filtering, and power sources is working as intended. Okay, we could do one quick test here. Like, what happens if we create a new resource that is a rune power source? We do a test power source and let's say Air 100. And now double click here. Look at the input power here. We can determine total power something, and we do air power 100. We click here. Wait. Okay. I see. You say, well, why can't I put these values in here? Because it's an elemental power resource. We'll look at our base of an elemental power resource. So what if we then just add here at export, we save, and would you look at that, now this dictionary has popped in here, and we can make edits here. Now, and we're gonna make this one have already like 100 air and then 10 in everything else. We save, we jump, look at player manager. Separate those a little bit like that. We copy, and into the power list, we add that one. We save, we have 6. We shoot. So here we see 10 in air. And we change our power source to air power 100. Oh, and we got everything is on 0, and we're not doing any damage. Now, why is that? No, wrong one. Here, gonna want to look at this code here. Activate rune spell state. Ah, there we go. Now you should still work. Nothing's exploding. Good. We changed that one to the C. Speed is interesting. Why are you not working though? So now if we look at remote player manager, here we do runic circle. Rune container. Power source air power. By rune type undefined. Now we're gonna need more of those. Okay, compared to this one. Input power, add on to. Oh, that's the one. We're turning the values back into 0. So let's try if total power less than equal to 0. No. Greater than 0. And do that. Again, if this is the super simplistic power source we built just to be able to test this shit, still kind of works. Now we change this one. Oh, look at that one. Now it's at 67. Yeah. So, boom, big damage. Yeah. Okay, so we can make more powerful runes this way. And because the container does have the damage information, so we can see the damage information here on the right, even though the bolt itself doesn't carry it, or it will not give it forward, but it's carrying the same information of, well, this is the damage of the thing I'm containing. Now, this will be interesting if you have multiple things nested inside each other, but, you know, we'll deal with that when we get there. The point is the mechanisms as they are work. We'll have to find some more logic for the whole cooldowns, those things as well, because right now it's funny because because it is so low in other elements and so heavy in that one. We're actually there's very little filtering happening, so we're generating very little waste, which is why the sort of idea I was hoping for, like you have more specialized power sources, and if something like this would then most likely be requiring a fuel of some kind, so ammo, which would then allow you to do, you know, more powerful attacks with lower cooldowns. And the idea is to then have the player be able to have multiple of these magic rings, magic circles on their character, so then you have your, you know, heavy attack, your basic attack, that kind of stuff, which you build yourself, and then you can have your sort of limited ammo, heavy attacks, machine gun things you build on some hotbar. Probably link it to the good old numpad. Numbers here. Yeah. Okay. Filtration shit works. I'm just like flabbergasted. Yeah, sorry. And sorry everyone who'd like, Alucard user coming here to try to learn the code. You've just caught me at the end of the minimum 2 hours we were gonna do today, because we have had our goals, which was these 3. And we got them all done. We tested the resistance logic from yesterday, the day before yesterday, and we made AoE runes work, yes, which was also surprisingly easy. I was expecting this to take most of the day, but turns out doing good groundwork can help you, and we got the chain effects to work. No problem. Hey, no worries. I'll be doing the same thing tomorrow morning. I start my streams currently for the foreseeable future. We'll be starting with always a minimum of 2 hours, either game dev art or something. We'll try to do like work on this one. Sometimes, you know, I just go straight to gaming. We'll see how that works, but usually I try to do some of this. Nothing spookier than when the code works the first time. And hey, Hanu. Hey there, Neff, and you're absolutely right. That's what I was so confused. I was like, what? It just works? What the? What? This isn't... No, these things aren't supposed to just work. And yet they did. Yeah, and we have the elemental information there and everything. We're going to use that eventually to then modulate so we can... Because I want the... Like I keep on saying, the sort of like... arising effects in the game, procedurally generated things like for the attacks and the colors of the attacks. Right now we're just using these pre-made sprites because, well, I have some. We need something to test with. Easiest way to test that would be probably the beam, because we found a white sort of like fire torch animation, which we were just stretching to turn it into a beam. So we could add a logic to then look at our elements, and based on the how much of whatever there is, that'll determine the color. Yeah, we could probably make that work. No problematic. Yeah, glad to hear that, Alucard, on the YouTube side. Yeah. I'm still just surprised everything just worked out. And hey, that's amazing. Good news. Now I'm more like thinking like, what the heck am I doing then tomorrow? We can have a little bit of thinky poo on that one. So if we got these things to work, right? Effectively... Okay. The biggest problem for testing, because I was thinking, do I need to make the enemies actually move around a bit so we can see like how does, you know, gameplay flow at all, even if it's most basic? Because currently our enemies are just red squares that are there. Making them move around isn't that hard. I mean, we'll just use in the beginning for our testing a good old Vampire Survivors, like they just come at the player. We can figure out AI later, how they move. But more important than that is actually the whole rune crafting. So funnily enough, we're gonna have to work on our sort of rune inventory system and a UI for editing. So we'll have a pause menu and a... Yeah, there's no point in like putting in like rounds currently with multiple enemies coming at you, because yes, it's more like potato style. So like when the game's running, you can't do any changes to your sort of your build. That's what you're going for. And then in between rounds, you're allowed to edit. Mid round, you might get some upgrade boosts, something like that. We'll see how that works when we get there. For testing, we can just have a pause menu that just pops out the sort of crafting menu, pauses the game. Because the current sort of crafting menu is just, yeah, that nonsense we saw. You know, this thing. Ah, well, that's more than a little silly. So make a bigger menu. We'll have those listed there. And then an actual like visual UI on the left, I think. Because right now there's here, then we'll have how many nodes you can put in, logic. Yeah, because that is something, yeah, we need to do. Okay, yeah, okay. We are on track now, because the problem that we're facing is that this is just an array of God knows how much. You have an infinite amount of bullshit in it. We need to figure out, so how do we limit how many runes does this specific circle have? In fact, we need to make a resource that is the circle itself, because currently this is just circles. This is supposed to be the base class. Then, because the different kind of magical circles will be, you know, items themselves, and we'll then eventually add more logic to it, even. Because I'm hoping to, at least, because I'm thinking that we could have your runic circle built out of different materials, which themselves can help dissipate the waste heat, if you will, which is the one causing your affecting the length of the cooldown between the attacks that you're building in the system. And I think we'll make a rune handler global. Because there's no point in having these saved in here or somewhere else. We need one place which does an internal logic for loading all of our resource files, which means also this bastard here has to go away from here. Can I just put you in... Elemental power class. It's one of those things like, oh no, where would this make more sense? Why did I have to put in the runes? And hopefully nothing breaks. And where did you learn how to code, my guy? I really need to know, because this is the only part I'm struggling. Oh, practice. I've been doing this now for a few years. I learned to code the first... I did some YouTube, internet tutorials and things, and then I did go to school then for a couple of years. We learned in C, very low level language, but that was a fun sort of peer-to-peer learning thing where we were just giving assignments and like you figure it out. And then we had to build the basic libraries ourselves. And then for the past year, I've been doing almost every weekend a game jam. There's one that's known as the Try Jam, where you have 3 hours to make a game. And some of them ended up playable. A few might even have been a little fun. Because 3 hours is not enough to make a game. No way, no how. But if you can make something that kind of works in 3 hours, that's already a personal achievement. And I found that it was a very good motivator because the cost of failure is so low. No, it's just 3 hours. Now, if you can make a simple like running game, the one you have in your browser, that's already an achievement. And it's not going to look very good. And that also then forced me to like keep on going through the basics again and again and again. And then helped me sort of realize, I'm like, okay, we should like, focus down on all these design ideas I keep on getting. Like, what is actually the core of the game I'm making? And that is why then this year we're then pivoting from these tiny projects into rather than doing a large scale project, which is this one. And my first... No, not a first, but yeah, but the first, okay, this will be my first finished long-term game project. Let's put it that way. I started and abandoned a few. And that's the thing, you just gotta keep on doing it. It is like any skill in any craft, be it, coding or blacksmithing or, carpentry. You just gotta keep at it. You gotta keep on practicing. Practice makes perfect. And I like the Try Jam, the mini game jams, because like I said, I try to do something different or something I've done before, but in a slightly different way every time. And yeah, kept on learning more. Kept on getting more comfortable with the tools in the engine and so on. Now, of course, yeah, there's a lot of things like that I didn't have time for, like figuring out how to do settings. How do I make more complex logic that flows through the project like I'm working on now? Now, it's a super simplistic push buttons and something happens on screen. Can I turn that into a game? But it was fun. Keep on going at it. And if you're saying like you're struggling with actual coding, then there's, for some reason, some people are like disparaging like code along things, and I think no, they're absolutely fine, because the problem is always unknown unknowns. The things you didn't even know were there. You didn't even know were things, so you can't ask the questions. That is why like code along projects were very handy, especially for like learning a new tool. Like for me with Godot, the very first things I ended up doing on Godot were these YouTube tutorials on like, let's build a platformer, and I'm like, well, here's the resources, and then I just coded the same thing they did, and I got it to do stuff on my machine and had a good time. And then I like started tweaking around, like, well, okay, what if I change this number? What'll happen? What if I change that? What'll then happen? And so on. And then like a top-down farm, Stardew Valley thing, and so on. And it was through those then I then learned like, okay, so there are these kind of things exist in Godot, and those kinds of things exist here. These kind of tools are available. And from there, keep on growing. And then from then, I then ended up trying to do things on my own versions of things. Okay? If you first make something with someone else, then you can do your tweaks, see if you can change this, alter this, can you make it more like this, more like that? And then, well, can I use these bits I learned here to build something completely different? And it's gonna be shit. That's what we're doing. We're just building shit upon shit, and eventually we're gonna polish that turd into something quite nice. Because you shouldn't, especially when learning, stress too much about, oh no, it's not very good, the outcome. Like, no, even professionals, the first drafts are insane, or they're ugly. When you're looking at an existing game, you're looking at work that took many people, many years to get to that state. In the beginning, it's gibberish. It's just like authors for books. Many of them say that many will never ever in their lives share their first draft. They're like, no one must know the shame of how I eventually might have written, a famous, well-written book. But the first draft was just gibberish. Really poorly written nonsense. Because that's how it always starts. You start with the core idea and concept of where does this flow? How does that work? Does it make sense? You're like, well, Mr. Pee Pee Poo Poo Butt did the thingy boo boo boo. And that's could be an absolutely fine way of writing. Because it's only meant for you. Wait to get your ideas out of the brain onto the paper, or the computer in this case. And when you keep on doing it, then you also start picking up like habits. And you realize, oh, this is why people do this. Like, for example, I try to capitalize all my constants and so on. So it's more like visually clear. Like when I see this thing in the code, like, oh, of course. Okay, so that will be a constant or something because it's written in a special way. And if I always do these similar things in this kind of special way, then I know these will always be these special things. And just like, because there's a lot of people who write code and use variables like X, I, and Y, this like leet code, super compact, efficient shit. And where I like to do the whole keep everything as clear a human readable name as possible, because when you return to code later on that you wrote a while back, you might not remember how exactly, what does it do? How does it do it? But if everything's written in a way that makes sense, like reset spell state, player manager, can attack, true, that kind of, it's self-explanatory as much as possible, because that'll help you decode your old code, because you will not remember what the heck it does when you return to it. And do I need to know every function when coding? Nope. Like every code to see its flow and how they function together? No, you don't. No, absolutely not. I mean, at its core, it's all math. With layers of abstraction on top of that. Not only is it math, it's binary math. In computer, it's all ones and zeros. All you need to know is pretty much what do you want to do and where do you ask the questions. For this thing, stuff like ChatGPT is amazing. It is very good at giving you highlighting unknown unknowns because it has access to a lot of information. Don't let it write code for you, because even if it could write really good code, it will rob you of the opportunity to learn. Because if someone gives you the answers, well, now you didn't do the work, now you didn't learn how this works, because it is through practice and building things that you start figuring it out. It's better to ask a question like, okay, so how do I make my dude like move around on the screen? And then we look at, say, okay, I have a like player here. Okay, because in Godot you has even like pre-built stuff. I made some changes, but here, like, okay, so we have input for buttons we've declared, being like the WASD here. I named them move up, move down, move right, move left, and so on. And they go into a vector. Well, what the heck's a vector? Well, for this one, we have a vector 2, because we're doing a 2-dimensional game, but you could have a vector 3, which has 3 dimensions. Like vectors, both for vector mathematics. Vector is, essentially a direction or a measured line and so on. But it's like, is it 2 dimensions, X and Y? Is it X and Y and Z? 3 dimensions. But that's not that important, but because then you just go figure out, okay, where do I find vectors? How do I change vectors? And keep on going. You need to know like what is the difference between an integer and a float. Well, a float has decimal numbers, an integer does not. An integer is always a whole number. There is no such thing as 1.1 as an integer. You see, this would be a float, and if we put it into a container that we've declared this one only holds integers, well, that turns into a 1. It does no rounding, because 1.9, but that is a float, we put that into an integer, and that's a 1. It just cuts off the rest. Whereas a float, you can then, round it up and so on. Random details, but it's computers have their own logic. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I really want to make my own game, knowing how it was built and how I built it, because it's frustrating, but really fun. Excellent, and that's what to do it. Just keep on going at it, keep on building things I like using Godot. It is very lightweight engine, and it is one that has really good inbuilt documentation and existing documentation and guides online. If you want to use Unity or Unreal, that's also fine. They usually also, I'm pretty sure they also have really good documentation because, well, people use them to build all kinds of cool stuff. But yeah, and also you can see if we look at here, so here's a like progress bar. This is like an actual node in the actual Godot. I mouse over it. I hold down Control, left Control. You see, oh, now it's a hyperlink, and I can look at all these things, like a progress bar, description, a controlled user visual representation of a percentage, shows fill percentage from left to right to left. What kind of properties does he have? Oh, it has some booleans, integers. Click on a boolean, we can find out what is a boolean, and then it explains what a boolean is. Oh, well, thank you, Raiders, Triple Jump Games. How you doing? What are we up to then? Welcome, my new in-raiders. I'm Hanno, son of Hanno, variety streamer and an extremely amateur game developer. Working on I've been doing a lot of game jams last year, mainly the try jams, almost every weekend. Tried to do a 3-hour game jam. Learned a lot, but found myself a little constrained, so now I've finally started this year my first proper long-term game project. Well, let's say the first one I intend to actually finish. And welcome back from the ad, everyone. Yeah, shit, there we're at. So, what are we up to then, Triple Jump Games? What are you working on then? Also doing some software and game devising. Yeah, we're very early in the game deving project. We are building, working title, DIY Wizard. So, mostly building the logic behind the game. Okay, super simplistic. All the visuals essentially done day one. The idea is sort of Noita meets Potato, but instead of using like entire like spells like Fireball, Triple Cast, and so on, we're using Power Source, Infiltration, and then Projection Shape to make attacks. But here, today we've gotten things like a container system done where we can have an AoE attack, but it's contained inside a bolt, and the AoE is unleashed when the bolt impacts. So we got an explosive attack. Hooray! What's up? Nice, I'm also making a Noid-like game. Hey, sweet. Yeah, because it's sort of like Potato in the sense that I'm just using that as the way to sort of explore the crafting of make your own attacks. But yeah, like by like more granular. And yeah, sorry you might have missed it because of the good old ads. So welcome in, Raiders. I'm Hanno, son of Hanno, variety streamer and an extremely amateur game developer. I've been doing these game jams a lot for the past year, called the Try Jam, which happen every week, where the theme is to make game in 3 hours, hence the name. And then this year I started a long-term game project. This will be the first one I intend to actually finish. And we're doing, Noita meets Potato, but instead of having, like I said, a Fireball meets Triple Cast and other effects like, magic with Trigger, we're granular. We're going to build the runic circles with power sources, filters, and like, how do we project that? Is this a bolt or a beam or an AoE? Like, how do you make an explosion? How do you make shields? So like much more granular. And hopefully it'll be fun eventually. I'm really happy about getting a freaking container system working. Because first we had just 3. We had power source, filter, and then one of our attacks. And we made a 4th one here, but it's not on the list. So that is for tomorrow then. So when the bolt hits, it then does a beam attack. Because the beam is contained inside the bolt, which we originally we changed that into an AoE. I'm using very simplistic just graphics here, so they're just pre-made sprites I happen to have, and we are copying those. Ooh, that's interesting. So I can hit both at the same time. We might have to work on that one. But for now, it's fine. Or not, maybe we can let double hits happen. Because now there's a bolt inside a bolt. You don't really see it, but it's a slight tiny flicker. Let's just change that one to Earth. We might just see. Nah. And some simple damage number to see stuff happening. Because mostly we've been for the past week just building the logic behind everything. And we're getting to the point that, I need to then build a better UI thing to show what's happening. And then maybe make enemies that actually, move and shit. But we're getting there, slowly but surely. Wait, Triple Jump Games, you said you're making a Noita-like game? Also doing it like a Noita like sideways or top down? I'm going more like top down. Maybe we'll see how it works out in the end. Gonna go for, because yeah, the inspiration was first to do like Vampire Survivors like, but then I realized the way we're building it, it'll be much closer to Brotato. It's like Noita meets Terraria. Ooh, cool. It's like Noita with survival crafter and base building. That sounds neat. Very cool. Okay. Today's goal was a minimum of 2 hours. We've gotten all of our goals done in 2.5 hours, and I need to go to have a little break. So sorry about that, Raiders. But I will be right back. I just need to run away and take... It's called Atom Craft. Ah! Oh, right, yeah, the Atom Craft. I remember that one. Yeah, you told me about that one. You've been here before. Sorry about that. Took me a while. I thought like, oh, name seems familiar, but I can't remember. Oh, yeah. Atom Craft. I remember that one. Yes, that one looks really cool. It looks very promising. I hope it works out. But I really gotta go. Sorry. Nature calls, as they say. See you soon. Now done. Like, bro, and those, remember? Believe in me, who believes in you. See you next time. Thank you for hanging out, Alucard user 56. Alucard user on the YouTube side. Hope you have a good one. And Triple Jump Game saying we just released the Steam demo. Holy shit, man, that is nice. Good on ya. I'm gonna check that out at some point. But we got this stuff done. We've encountered unexpected bugs. We've fixed everything. So I think it's kind of time to start playing games, and I realize I don't know what we're playing today. So first, we do that. We close all of our editing software, and we open up Steam. We have a quick look-see. Now, of course, we could play Vintage Story. We could play more Stationeers. Stationeers is always nice. We could play more Dwarf Fortress. We could do something different and play Void Stranger. Well, I've been meaning to do it anyway. Let's see how that one works out. Because either that or freaking My Wooded Car. Sorry. Yeah, sure. Let's go for that one. Which means I gotta open up my stuff here. I gotta change the category. Let's see. There we go. And then we take it on the YouTube side, and I'm gonna have to click like an end on the YouTube side. So in that sense, we do this scene actually, because in order to change category on YouTube, you have to start a brand new stream. So we'll be changing the category, and YouTube, I'll see you